Hi Cancer, I hope that you're all doing well. What I was seeing in the pre-shuffle looked like something having to do with possibly a choice that needs to be made. We are starting off with Queen of Cups and we also have Nine of Wands. When we have this energy, what can be going on is something that we can kind of feel like we're being tested emotionally as far as kind of like what we're feeling and what we are going to do with that. And it can just be a time when you can feel challenged in general emotionally. It can feel like something difficult is going on that ends up making you kind of progress as you move through it, but at the same time there can be a lot of like, I don't want to go the wrong way with this. And this can be creating this kind of like holding back of your energy a little bit, where there's a containment of it, and you can be feeling that building where you want to express it, but you can be containing it instead. And then that can kind of be adding to the mental pressure a bit here. I kind of see this like I want to go in that direction, or my instinct is to go in that direction, but then I'm holding myself back from doing that, and I'm feeling anxiety about this. Maybe there's also something about, I'm getting like pressure and vulnerability here with this. And you can really do some soul searching here when it comes to how you're feeling, kind of analyzing your emotions and what's going on and what's making sense for you. Looking at this situation and being like, I don't want to give up here on this. I want to do whatever it is that I need to do, but something about that can just be feeling particularly challenging. Like, this even seems like having 10 of Swords and having 4 of Pentacles be connected with the Queen of Cups, which is giving me a bit of a High Priestess energy here. So this can be about specifically what you're feeling on a very, very, very deep level and what you know to be true. Having 10 of Swords and having 4 of Pentacles can be you dragging something out here that feels like it's kind of like, it's like something being over but still being in those last moments of it and like really dragging it out there. When this feels like something where it's like, it's over, release it, let it go, but for some reason it's still being held on to. It's definitely some cycle that's expired, but I'm seeing there be for some reason, and it's like you don't need this anymore. It almost feels like it's not so relevant anymore, but they're still holding on to it. You can be having a hard time letting go of control in this situation. Interesting. So when I see the Devil and I see 4 of Wands, I see a choice that we can be making to keep something together. But it's something that like you'll never be able to pay the price enough for this to kind of stabilize in the way that you want to. But that means that there's something about having to let go of trying to maintain the upper hand and maintain control within this circumstance, even if you're doing it in like a soft, even more kind of like submissive type of way within this. So if we had 4 of Wands alone, this would be something you look at and you're like, look at all those pieces, they function well together. This is something that's really sustainable. This is something that really works. When you have the Devil there, it will be like a temporary fix, or it will like temporarily look good, but then it will fall apart because this thing doesn't really belong together. but we can be doing things to kind of prolong that and hold it together. And that's what it looks like it has been going on here with this. Like, this feels like something that, even on the emotional front, this has been over for you, but it's like for some reason still holding on to it. And this can be like keeping up appearances in some way even. But this can also be the thing that, I mean, when we have an energy like this, we can kind of feel like maybe this is just the best shot I got. Maybe this is the best I can do. That's not true, but it can be something that we're working with, like why you're telling yourself that. And it can be really to avoid a very uncomfortable situation, and something where this can bring up a lot of your fears for you, and it can bring up your control issues here with this. And it can also bring up an issue of impulsivity, where you can be making choices where you're like, at least a quick fix is better than no fix at all to kind of keep this thing running. But it's kind of like the boat that you're sailing in has a leak, and instead of like going to a better boat, you keep taking a little bucket and scooping the water out and throwing it out, only to have it fill back up. Like, this thing is going down, but you can be like still trying to prolong this from happening. And even though it's like, you know that this thing isn't gonna last, it can't stay together like this, at the same time, it can be something where the way that you're channeling your energy can be just kind of keeping this cycle going, even though it feels like you got a recommendation from the boat doctor who said that this boat is totaled and you need to give it back to wherever it came from. But this is just like, don't want to do that. I want to keep doing this. And something else about this is that yeah, I think that this can come from a place of us believing for some reason that this is really like the best we're gonna get in a circumstance, when really if we would just face our fears within this situation, you can find something that's like a boat that works really well for you. But you can just be like, but I don't want to let go of this one, even though it's like game over definitely within this scenario. But yeah, it can just be something that feels hard to do because it challenges the part of you that you don't like to kind of change lanes here a bit, is the way that this is seeming. It's giving I kind of want to hold on to this, but what's going to happen is that you're going to go down with the ship if you do not switch over. And so that's where this becomes actually the antithesis of what it is that you want. Like, this opposes what it is that you want. And that's the crazy thing about this, is that prolonging this cycle by not releasing it and not letting go, even though the thing about this is that when you check in with it, it does feel like it's over for you, but there's still a holding on to it. But this isn't like maybe we can try again or maybe we can keep going. This is something that for real it's over and done with, energetically. So why on a physical level is this still being held on to? And it can be because you can feel like, well, what if I don't find a boat? What if this happens? What if that happens? But isn't like even just being boatless better than being in a faulty boat that you're going to be sinking with at the end of the day? So maybe you're also kind of having a conversation with yourself about that. I will say, when we have the devil, it can be something that we keep around, not because we want to be, but because we feel for some reason like we have to. But that's also not true either. But you're going to have to challenge the parts of you that don't really want to think about that and don't really want to question that. And the part of you that can just like repetitively jump back in the boat, only to have it be kind of the same story over again. And then it's like you're not really going to get a different ending here. It's kind of like the same thing and you keep watching it happen again and again. But you do have to kind of like guard your energy. For some of you, this can be like somebody else coming through and you're like, man, if they would just leave me alone, I would be able to like get rid of this. Maybe that's part of what's making it difficult. But that also means too that there's a part of you that's entertaining this. So what's going to happen is that you're going to have to be like, no, don't drag me back into this. I don't want to be involved in it. You're going to have to set boundaries, essentially, is what I'm seeing. But this can be somebody that it feels difficult to say no to. It can be somebody goofy. It can be somebody funny. It can be somebody that's charming in like a bit of a toxic way. But if you want the type of emotional dynamism and peace and stability And yeah, if you want those things, it's not going to work with this energy. So it's something that you need to look into and kind of self-examine here, what's going on emotionally, why this is something that you're placating / entertaining when it comes to this. And this can be somebody or an energy that you're like, oh, I feel like I have such a weakness for them. But at the same time, it's bringing chaos into your life, and it really is not allowing you to have what you want at the end of the day. So it's like, is that worth more to you than the emotional stability and the harmony that you want to contain within your life? Just that, like, giving in a moment, all to just know that this is something that's not really in your best interest, and it's not really good for you either. It's like that thing where it's like temporarily being satiated, and then you're like, oh no, you feel so guilty about it because you know that this isn't good for you. And what this is going to cost you if you don't close this out is what you really want on the emotional front. That's the thing about this, is that it's very, very expensive to keep playing this game. But yeah, there can be a part of you that in certain ways you can feel like it gives you this feeling of control to be involved in this cycle. But I think the bigger question is that worth sacrificing the more monumental things that are sacrificed by you staying involved in this? All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.